The first collectible horror game I went out of my way to buy was Haunting Ground. I had been reading up on it, enjoying the lore and the history of the game development, and I thought the themes were intriguing. People loved talking about the sexual theme of the game, the homunculi, especially Daniela, as well as being a spiritual sequel to the Clock Tower franchise. Beneath the gothic horror and disturbing theme lies something even older: alchemy. An often overlooked subject of horror games and a science that has been long misunderstood in the mainstream. Part of this is in thanks to series like Fullmetal Alchemist. I love that show, don't get me wrong, but there is more to the pseudoscience than equivalent exchange. Not just the bizarre science, but the way of looking at life itself is the best way to understand the game, its characters, and the narrative in it. So let's start by breaking down alchemy and making it understandable, also saying what it isn't. First off, the show Fullmetal Alchemist is not exactly alchemy, though it uses some terms that we're probably pretty familiar with. It's not about an equivalent exchange, but it's about purifying. To simplify the physical aspect of it, we hear about them trying to turn lead into gold, and that was one of the goals, but it's also about refining and purifying things. They made potions and elixirs that were meant to better life, and the always interesting one of trying to find immortality through their rudimentary science. The philosophy actually was about refining the person. They would attempt to find ways to make one's soul better in a more enlightened state. I feel like this is a rather common goal in most philosophies. The thing is though, even an irrational philosophy by today's standards has some very out there ideas while looking down the rabbit hole. We started out with body autonomy and enlightenment, and we ended up with forbidden knowledge and the idea of creating artificial life. That is where this game really starts taking form. The entire narrative starts to boil down into the alchemical process, the physical, the metaphysical, and the bizarre. One area that Fullmetal Alchemist got right, it's even a pivotal point of the show, although it does seem to take a little bit of a backseat, and that is the creation of life and the transfer of the soul. Most of the characters in the game that you encounter are not naturally born humans, and it would be safe to say they aren't human at all. This includes Fiona, who would most likely only be half human. When I say the game takes form from those principles, I mean pretty much everything in the game. On the surface level, the castle is full of imagery dealing with alchemy. There's labs and scientific materials everywhere, but there's also a golem that bars your way right near the beginning of the game. This really should have been an eye-opener for people as far as what to expect. Even I was dubious when first doing research for the game and thought that maybe Daniela was brainwashed or something. But the more I learned about alchemy, I learned just how specific her character was. It's to the point where the team looked at the stages of alchemy and based characters off their specific stages. Carl Jung wrote about these stages, though apparently the third stage is one that's often left out in later writings. Debilitus is the first Stalker, and one that is often greatly overlooked, though for me, he's one of the more memorable Stalkers in the game. A giant hulking figure that clearly is not fully developed mentally or even physically if you look at his face and the proportions of his body. He represents the first stage, the Black Stage, or Negretto. I think I'm pronouncing this Latin stuff right, I'm probably not. In this stage, it's the beginning of the breaking down of the material and the process of refining it. This is decay, the stage in which there's an understanding that there is something better but not really grasping exactly what that is. For Debilitus, that's upgrading from his dolls he used to be playing with to Fiona, something far better than those toys, and he doesn't really grasp what exactly it is in front of him that makes Fiona special.
I am not complete.
The next stage is the white stage, or albedo, represented by the internet's favorite stalker, Daniela. This is the stage where some purification happens, though it falls rather short, and that is exactly what's going on with her. She manages to fall short in a lot of areas. She's a creation that doesn't seem to have much of a personality outside of when she snaps and starts a murdering rampage. She doesn't seem to have the ability to feel a whole lot, and she is unable to reproduce. That last part is something that she feels is a major lacking. This is not my personal opinion, this is coming from her. The stage is about slowly getting better, and she is miles further along than Debilitus. She recognizes that Fiona has something she wants and needs, but it doesn't seem that she really understands the ins and outs of it.
Why are you doing this? What did I do?
You inherited your father's Azoth. That is what you did.
What Azoth? I don't even know what that is.
That Azoth belongs to us, Fiona. Don't you see? You are our child.
Stop! I am not your child. I know exactly who my parents are.
Fiona, we are, or rather I am, knowledge. I hold invaluable information from the dawn of time. I am a great alchemist. I will not die. I am Oriola's belly, and I... Look at me, Fiona. Look.
What?
Just like your father, Ugo.
Daddy?
We are clones. We are clones.
And this is the stalker everyone hates, and when you really think about it, he is disgusting in every single way. Ricardo represents the third stage known as the Yellow or Citrinitas stage. This is where you've been awakened to the wisdom you needed, but it hasn't been obtained and perfected. He is like Hugo, Fiona's father, except he wasn't made with enough Azoth and it physically shows. His face is cracked and deformed. He knows what Fiona represents and the raw life force she possesses, but the view he has is perverted and misinformed. He's looking to impregnate his niece/daughter since he's the clone of her father.
Ricardo, you were always incomplete. But now, I will have your Azoth. You have not died in vain.
Daddy?
Fiona, my dear holder of Azoth.
What's going on? You're not my...
Azoth is the essence of life. We alchemists have the ability to convert it into power. We can live forever. Your Azoth, Fiona, belongs to me. Come to me, Fiona. I will now extract the Azoth latent in you, in order to realize the everlasting life of Oriola's belly.
The final stage, and one in this game makes a lot of sense, is the red stage, or Ribedo stage, represented by Lorenzo. At first we see this weakened old man, and if we get the key to leave early in the second playthrough, that's all you see. But your first time through, he obtains the perfect physical form and is even engulfed in flames by the end of the game. A normal man would have perished in moments, but Lorenzo can push on and even has the ability to insta-kill Fiona if he catches her in his fiery form. Thankfully, he never fully completed his transformation and is never able to obtain the perfect piece to his puzzle. Guess what? Guess what, everyone? We're not done. So if the stalkers are defined by the different stages in which purification takes place, then that would make Fiona the Philosopher's Stone. All the characters that are capable of higher thought are after her for one reason, and that is her Azoth, that essence of life. She is the one being refined throughout the game, being put under tremendous pressure in order to be transformed from what she was to what she will be by the end of the game. The stone is said to help with the elixir of life and manages to turn lead to gold. The fully enlightened, who is able to ascend from being a normal human to something greater, or the ability to help raise lesser things into enlightenment. She fits the definition of being that perfect vessel in which would have been used. She is full of Azoth, youth and innocence, being able to be molded into the perfect form that the others were seeking. Now, I mentioned in the previous video on her, but the Stalkers weren't the only ones looking to benefit from Fiona. The allure of what she is managed to even overtake her deceased mother and father. This game is far more than the sexual depraved fantasy of a development team like some seem to think. This is a game based and steeped in critical thought and deliberately pieced things together to match the alchemy narrative that they were trying to craft. Yes, there is a little bit of the sexuality here. She was walking around in a silk sheet. The game weaves the story of transforming, though, and the attempt of others to push their control and dominance on others, with the added horror of being treated as nothing more than an object and a means to an end. I wish more people paid attention so that the legacy of this game was more than the objectification of a woman, though I think this is so drastically overblown. And the fact that the game is so expensive, the game is so much more than that. Haunting Ground is not just escaping the castle or the weird obsession fans have with Daniela. The game is about escaping centuries of experimentation and what it is that makes us all human. Thank you for watching my breakdown of Alchemy and Haunting Ground. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe, leave me a comment. I'm hoping to do a follow-up on this on more Alchemy and horror games. Might be a little further down the road, but I would really like to do it. Until then, though, stay scared, stay curious.